Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
Yeah. NBA Straya, how are you going? I hope you're well. You bloody well better be, because it's Tuesday, May 28 all day, and I'm your host, James Clements. You can also see me on the official AFL Supercoach podcast. You can see me on the AFL Today show, and you can see me on Fox Sports Lab NBA. All the good stuff here in Larry Armour Studios. That's right, it's a squid-friendly kind of day today. I've got to go pick up the squids from, their respective schools and daycares and whatnot. Also, watch the hoops. And your Boston Celtics are in the NBA Finals. Finals. How are we feeling, Celtics fans? I'm sure you're feeling great because, I don't know, there's a lot going on in that game. We'll talk it all out in the NBA Straya game wraps. Also, the news, Bill Walton has passed away. That's extremely sad. I got a lot of time for Bill Walton. Also, we're going to cover off That's Not a Knife, Old Mate, No Mate, Spud of the Night, Better than Lonzo Ball. We'll do a magic tweet of the day, which will actually be in reference to Bill Walton as well. We'll do some Nazi Unpopular Opinion of the Day in Outback Takehouse, where we're serving up a flame-grilled take. There is an Andrew Gay's Grey Mamba Award for Outstanding Achievement in the Field of Excellence. And what else? A deli review. Watch out, here we go. We're doing more deli reviews. But there is a Game 4 Dallas, Minnesota preview to finish off this show as well. Should be good. Can't wait. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Episode 1106 of NBA Straya. Let's go!
G'day, this is Andrew Gaze, and you're listening and watching NBA Straya.
Watch out for the Shaq Attack.
You better. Especially if you're Charles Barkley once more. Shaq, how you been? How you make the Hall of Fame when you've been swept 6 times? I got 4 rings, Chuck. I still got 4 rings. 4 more rings than you. It's pretty good. I love every time that Charles Barkley learns something new about Shaq, he's like, wait, you were swept 6 times? He goes after him, and Shaq's one repose that he has is, I have 4 rings, you idiot. Shut up. You're like, pay that. That's pretty good. Anyway, also better watch out for the kiss on the very eye of the Wang. Boston Celtics. Wow. This team is insane. What an incredible series. I'll talk about that in a second in the actual sort of game wraps and everything, but geez. To make another finals a couple of years after, the last time they're in there? 2 in the last 3, you love to see it. Going for the record number of banners as well, pretty fun. But let's start today's show, the way we start every show, with the daily whip around. And it's a bit sad, Bill Walton passed away. So, a lot of time for Bill Walton. I love his... And so does everybody, right? Like, no one's here going, oh, you know who I hate? Bill Walton. Of course, no one does that, because unless they're a dipshit. But Bill Walton was this very special sort of human being who was like sort of traveling through the cosmos and sort of just landed on Earth for a little bit and just sort of made the absolute most of his time here. And it's like wildly inspiring. 2-time NBA champion, Grateful Dead superfan. One of the most unique thinkers, doers, beers, I think, in NBA history. All-time legend when it comes to actually playing basketball, cruelly interrupted by injuries, obviously. They win the 77 title, I want to say, for the Blazers, and then the 86 Celtics win the title as well, of course. And he's a Hall of Famer. He's on, the 50th and 70th anniversary all-time teams. He won the 70-78 MVP, the 77 Finals MVP, 6th Man of the Year, 2-time All-NBA, All-Star, NCAA champion. Just absolutely all-time gear. But the coolest part was, I think, in some of the summers that we did the old NBA Straya stuff, where you sort of just go through and look at some of the numbers that folks were putting up in the olden days, and you're sort of breaking it down. You're like, yeah, not bad. In 1977, right? So when he goes on and they win the title, they beat Philly. He's just out there ripping off like 20 and 18 and 9 games and stuff like that. 20, 23 and 7 games and 8 blocks and stuff. You're like, that's just insane. So he was an incredible basketball player, but even better, a better dude, which you love to see. Even Barack Obama had a really nice tweet. And this is kind of like when something like this happens and you realize just this sheer breadth and scope of somebody who has this much of an impact on like so many people. Like the tributes are fucking awesome. Like it's great. And Barack Obama's like, Bill Walton was one of the greatest basketball players of all time, a champion at every level and the embodiment of unselfish team play. He was also a wonderful spirit full of curiosity, humor, and kindness. We are poor for his passing. And Michelle and I send our deepest condolences to his family. So yeah, bit of a tough one. It sort of sucks, but wow, what an all-time legend. And it's like one of those things like the idea of rest in peace doesn't sort of feel like it fits for Bill Walton. What do you mean, Jim? Well, I mean that I don't think that sort of dude like is, at peace all of a sudden. He's like, now I finally get to like continue my journey through the cosmos. He's that kind of dude, right? So I love Bill Walton. What a legend. A little bits of news. Derek Lively might not play in Game 4 against the Wolves tomorrow with his neck sprain. So Max Kleber might be back, though, for the Mavs, which is an interesting one. Kleber's been out since, the start of May with that shoulder injury after he fell to the floor pretty heavily. And so Lively, there's differing sort of reports out there that it's not 100% confirmed, but it doesn't look like he's going to get out there. Anyway, whatever. That's about it for the news, I want to say. Oh, there was also this sort of thing about Mike Brown. So extension talks for his coaching contract. I think he's gotten to the 4th year. 4th year is next year, right? So talking about like extensions, etc. Apparently Kings ownership are like, I'm not entirely convinced that we are going to go extend you. And he's like, I want to get paid more. And they're like, yeah, but what do we do this year? And he's like, well, yeah, okay. It's just, he's like, I'll pay that. Play in Kings, right? And you're like, yeah, it's not great, Mike. Same kind of team as last year. Anyway, they beat the Warriors. Good. Then lost to the Pelicans. Bad. So I'll talk about that again later in the NRs. Anyway, turns out the Boston Celtics are in the NBA Finals because of today's game wrap. Let's go. The Indiana Pacers. Oh, geez. Lose a heartbreaker. 102-105 to the Boston Celtics. The Celtics sweep their way to their second finals in the last 3 years. You love to see it. But what an absolutely chaotic game it was. This was absolutely chaos because Indy backs against the wall. They're like, absolutely, we're letting loose with both barrels. This is fucking awesome. Let's just go, boys. The craziest part for me, like early on, it was like 16 points to the bench in the first quarter, 11 starter points. The Indy bench just carried the load. And for the Celtics, like Tatum was crushing threes, then did not a giant amount else until the last sort of quarter. You had Isaiah Jackson kick Peyton Pritchard fair in the head. And that wasn't like a flagrant foul. And then later we had Jaylen Brown basically clothesline TJ McConnell in the air, and that wasn't a flagrant as a bit of a makeup call. But anyway, it was pretty close, obviously. 29-27 after the first one. It was a weird one because there's like absolute fuck all turnovers as well. Boston is sort of like playing with like an inattentiveness, without a precision, without a sharpness. That you're like, if you're a Celtics fan, you're watching this game going, come on, dudes. What are you doing? Wake up. Nembhard was absolutely on fire. Nailed a couple of threes. Indy took the lead in the second quarter, and it sort of went back and forth from about that exact point, right? Like, you turn around, it's 46-46 still. Tatum and Brown are still sort of like trying to get this Celtics team going. You had a big moment as well where Nembhard was in the spin cycle, gets Derek White all out of sorts, and then misses like a little bunny layup, and then Jaylen Brown hits a three up the other end. It was a big swing, and the Celtics were up 55-51 at that point. Jaylen Brown starts 0 of 3 on his free throws and stuff, hits another one, whatever. It's like 56-51. And then they sort of give up the ghost a little bit. It's a 57-56 Celtics lead at the first, after the first half, right? So, because Nembhard hits a runner in the paint of the buzzer. He has 12 points in the second quarter, 16 points total by that point. And the Pacers are just like, I think we used the boxer analogy yesterday's show maybe. And it's just like, they're just blind swinging at this point. It's like, fuck it. We're going out swinging. And you're like, this is awesome. Let's go, Indy. So for the third quarter, They get up, do the paces. The Celtics drag it back to a 1-point game because the Indy defense just has these weird little lapses every so often. Siakam is sort of doing his thing of like, hey, I'm pretty good. I'm not great, but I'm pretty good. Nembhard is like piecing it together. And the craziest part is TJ McConnell. He had a really, really good first quarter, as I mentioned. And he get 8 points in that first quarter. And I think I tweeted out at that point, he is the Larry Bird of Matthew Dellavedovas. Prove me wrong, TJ. And Indy sort of got up, steadied, took the lead. They're up 83-80 at the going into the fourth quarter. White and Drew sort of kept getting cooked in the paint. And this was like the big thing where the Pacers kind of just kept scoring in the paint. And you're like, I don't know if this is ideal if you're the Boston Celtics, giving up this many points in the paint. It was like 48-46 in terms of the Pacers. Like they were 2 points in at the end of the game, right? And it feels like a lot of those extra points in the paint came late for Boston. Their lack of shooting sort of ended up coming back to bite them in the ass too. So because TJ Takeover, he scores like a bunch of points at the start of the fourth quarter. Pacers are back up by 4. It was this weird moment where they wipe off a Jaylen Brown 3 and then he goes back and hits another one and he was like, yeah, give me it back. But the Celtics just couldn't get that many stops. They looked tentative, weirdly uninterested, and they get scrambly on offense and it sort of feeds off each other, right? They get scrambly and it suddenly turns into these weird ISO crummy shots where it's like, we're passing the ball, but then it'll just get to a point where like, that'll do. Okay, can you hit this like step back 3, Tatum? And he's like, oh, try. Jaylen Brown's like, I'll take this mid-ranger. Oh, God. And Indy kept sort of stretching out. They got up 98-92. And you're like, watch out, here we go. But then Jason Tatum hits a massive 3. Then Derek White gets a steal. Jrue Holiday has an and one. Siakam throws up this shot in the paint. It's 102-98 Pacers. Now, you might want to cast your mind back to what the final score was. So 102-98. This game finished at 105-102. That's not a great vibe if you're a Pacers fan, right? Because that's a 7-point run down the stretch where they don't score. You had an amazing Tatum dunk where they're like, oh, shit, we're down 4, man. And it took no time off the clock. He just drives through the teeth of the Pacers defense. Absolutely crams one on. Naismith has a tough shot that misses. It's like 102-100 at this point. Jaylen Brown hits a really, really, really good push shot. So I don't know, like 12 feet away or something. It was really, really nice. All tied up, 2.5 minutes left. Oh boy. They're daring TJ McConnell to beat him. And they have a couple of bad turnovers. Tatum misses a 3, rattles in and out. Nembhard loses the ball. It's like a minute has gone off the clock and you're like, whoa, wow, this is just everybody turning in the ball over or missing shots. Jaylen Brown has this insane block on Nembhard. Less than a minute to go. Derek White, he's the hero. A great find by Jaylen Brown. An awesome pass. Derek White splashes the corner 3. Nembhard misses a 3. Tatum gets a rebound. And I want to highlight this a little bit because Nembhard misses that 3. Tatum had the option as they were scrambling on defense. Like they're kind of like, oh, shit, should I switch on him? Should I switch on him? Tatum goes, no, Siakam's rolling towards the rim. I'll go with him. I'll get positioning for the rebound. He gets the rebound. And that basically saves the game. So, because they have the ball, Jrue Holiday has the ball, gives it off to Tatum. Tatum takes his big step back 3, pushes off, mind you, off Miles Turner. And it's such a long 3. The ball goes up in the air. It feels like for 1 million years. And Jrue Holiday gets the offensive rebound and saves the game. They don't even give the Pacers one more chance. So it's 3 turnovers for the Pacers to end it. They didn't score for the last 3.5 minutes. Basically, their plays were a Naismith missed 3 that looked really good. The TJ McConnell missed jumper where they're just daring him to shoot. A Pascal Siakam turnover, a Nembhard turnover. Nembhard turnover when his shot was blocked by JB. A Nembhard missed 3, and that was it. That's 6 possessions in 3.5 minutes. It was absolutely brutal if you're a Pacers fan. And it's like one of those ones where you go, well, you know, we gave up Buddy Hield. We got Siakam at the trade deadline. Geez, I wish we had a little bit more shooting. And then you go, well, they didn't have Tyrese Halliburton, which feels important. Because like as good as Nembhard was in these couple of games, he's not as good as Tyrese Halliburton. As good as he was, which was very... Like, you think about Tyrese Halliburton at the start of this season, you're like, shit, is he like first, second team All-NBA point guard at this point. Holy crap, he's like leading the league in assists. He's crushing it, shooting the piss out of it. Indy looks super dangerous and super fun. And then he pings that hammy halfway through the season, sort of tries to play through it after like resting it for a couple of weeks. And the Pacers never quite look the same, and they still made an Eastern Conference Finals. It goes down to like coaching, having that next level of point guard play that they had, right? Like of Nembhard, of TJ McConnell, next to Siakam, next to Miles Turner, who had a Barry Crocker of a shocker game in this one, which I'll get to in a second. But yeah, the Pacers, they fought, and the Celtics pulled another win out of their ass. And every Celtics fan is just like, they're basically, at this point in my brain, being a Carlton fan when it comes to the AFL, you know me, do a couple of AFL shows as well. There has been like no easy Blues wins this season, basically. There was like GWS and Gold Coast. Like even the Richmond game was still just like, God, can you just put them out of their misery, bro? And like even the Gold Coast one on the weekend that I took the squid to, it was just a punish. You're like, can you just get on a run? And then they finally do, and you're like, oh God. So it's more relief than actually like joy. That's how Celtics fans are going to feel right now. But the Pacers, like, there's still very clear, obvious holes in this team, right? Like 10 of 29 from downtown, but they have such a really cool base to build from. You've got Halliburton, you've got Siakam, you've got Turner. You've got some pretty fun young dudes in Naismith and Nembhard. Obviously TJ. You've got Jaden Smith and co. So that, you know, not playing in this game, but there's still just young dudes there. They're kind of fun, but the turnovers, 14 turnovers, 10 of 29 from three, are always going to kill him. Nembhard ends up with 24 points after his awesome game in Game 3. He has 10 assists, 6 rebounds, crushed it. 3-6 from downtown, 10 of 18 from the floor. Loved his game. Siakam, 19, 10, and 3. He shot 8 of 18, 0 of 3 from downtown. If ever there was a game where you're like, hey, Pascal Siakam, max player in the NBA, can you please score us 40? And he's like, you got a boss. I'm Tobias Harris. And you're like, this fucking guy. He at least has some pretty good excuses where Tatum, Brown, Horford made him work so fucking hard for his buckets. And because he doesn't quite have that three-point dead-eye shooting to fall back on Siakam, he'll have it every so often. But yeah, not in this one. Tough one. Turner, 8 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. In foul trouble, but still not much of an excuse if you ask me. Naismith popped off late, 14 points, 6 rebounds, 4-11 shooting, 1 of 6 from downtown though. That's always sort of been the concern with Naismith. If the 3 ball's dropping, he looks awesome. If he goes 1 of 6, it doesn't look quite so fucking pretty now, does it? TJ McConnell, love TJ McConnell, 15 points. He shot 7 of 16 though. 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal. Just had a couple of really tough misses on pretty easy open looks where you're like, oh, those go in. It's a completely different game. Ain't no stopping. Obi Toppin. He had 12 points, 7 rebounds, a couple of assists, and a steal. Isaiah Jackson, Kung Fu, fought his way onto the court. Just gave the old whapow. How you like that? Peyton Pritchard, kick to the face. Also had 4 points and 5 rebounds. Dougie McBuckets played 13 minutes. That's not good. He had 3 points in 13 minutes. Dougie McBuckets. Oh, he just knows how to play. Yeah, could he play better? Ben Shepherd finally hit a 3 in this series. As I mentioned on yesterday's show, he'd been absolutely crushing it all playoffs. And then goes ice cold. It started like 0 of 9 and then finally got one to go today. 1 of 3 from downtown for him. But that's kind of it. If you can get more games and more experience under the lid for the likes of Shepherd and Naismith and obviously Nembhard, surround them, put them around the likes of Siakam and Halliburton, and you've got a really fun, solid, dangerous team. It's just that they need a little bit more consistency out of Miles Turner. You can't have these games. Anyway, Celtics 14 of 44 from downtown. I'm no math magician, but 14 makes is better than 10. They did take 15 more attempts, however, to get those 4. It's not that bad. 11 turnovers. They shot 45% from the floor. Jaylen Brown was immense in this game. 29, 6 and 2, 3 steals, 4 of 8 from downtown. It did feel like at times he was pushing a little bit too hard, but then he sort of steadied the ship and hit some very nice shots. Only 3 turnovers. Tatum goes for 26 points, 13 rebounds, 8 assists, and 1 steal. Very nice. 5 turnovers, 11 and 26 shooting. Talk about pushing, because what did he shoot from 3, Jim? What did Jason Tatum shoot from 3? Oh, yeah, he did! Woo! Chill! Yeah! Jason Tatum went 3-11 from downtown. You'll love to see it. Anyway, What else? Yeah, Derek White have a very, 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 very fun game where he went 16 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 steals, and 3 blocks. Weapon. Love that game. Absolutely love that game from him. Drew Holiday, 17 and 9 as well. Derek White obviously hits the game-winning 3. He was 1 of 8 from 3 before he hit that shot. I love just how, big the stones are on this Celtics team because they were like, any dude who gets this pass is going to shoot the piss out of this ball. It's going to be fine. It'll probably go in, and it did. Good job. Above average Al Horford, 7, 8, and 5 with a steal and a block. He was handy. And Drew Holiday, incredible game. 17 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 of 6 from downtown, 7 of 13 from the floor. When he's active on offense, you're like, oh, watch out. This is a problem. Oh, geez. Because he's always just finding these weird little gaps. It's like a pass under the basket. He's just there by himself. He's like, oh, I'm pretty open. I better lay this up. That's what he's doing. That happened in the fourth bloody quarter. The bench was a bit of a problem for the Celtics as well. Pritchard, he managed his way to 5 points today. 1 or 2 of which were from downtown. He shoots 1 or 2 from downtown, 2 or 2 at the line. Same basically goes for Sam Hauser, but he goes 1 of 5 from 3 and 2 or 2 at the line. So they get 10 points out of those 2 dudes. 0 points from Tillman, who had a turnover, which was a Barry Crocker shocker. A couple of rebounds as well. No O'Shea Brissett, no Cornette. So basically, they're just like, all right, we're playing our dudes in this closeout game, and that's it. Whereas India like, hey, let's play Dougie McBuckets for 13 minutes and hope that something good happens. Narrator, it did not really happen. So there you go. The Boston Celtics sweep the Indiana Pacers 4-0. That's what a sweep is. Where it did feel like the Pacers could have won 3 of the 4 games. Which doesn't bode great for the Celtics going up against better competition who might actually have their best player for once. Goal, which we'll get to later. But wow, you can't take away the fact that they're in the NBA Finals. That is awesome. Can't wait for it. Let's do an NBA Straya approved performer of the night.
That's not a knife. That's a knife.
Jaylen Brown in this one, his shot late, the 2 was awesome. The pass to Derek White was awesome. He was really good all series. He averaged basically 30 points, 5 rebounds, 2 steals, shot over 51% from the floor. He won the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. And in this game alone, it just sort of felt like Tatum was having these moments where he's like, I'm feeling pretty good. He shot 11 of 26, did Tatum. JB goes 11 of 22 and 4 of 8 from downtown. 50% across his field goals and his threes. The 3 steals and a block. He just felt like he was playing a really impactful game where sometimes he can sort of fade into the background a little bit and go, all right, Jason Tatum, bring us home. Tatum did hit that massive, massive 3 to get them right back into the end, but at the same time, JB had the block on Nemhard, and he also had the sick little push shot that kept them within pissing distance. So he was unreal all series. He was fan-bloody-tastic in this game. But also, you could give this to Derek White for hitting the game-winning shot. You could give it to fucking Andy Nemhard. Because he was not Nem soft. He was Nem hard today, was Nemhard. God damn. Anyway, good job. Jaylen Brown, 44 minutes, 29 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals and a block. That is today's NBA Straya approved performer of the night. Who was Spud of the night, though, Jim?
Spud. It is Spud of the night.
Spud of the night. Miles Turner! Oh, jeez. Poor Miles Turner. When I say poor Miles Turner, I'm like, can the real Miles Turner please stand up? He's like, oh, Jim, this is me. I'll play one good game, then I'll play a shit game. You're like, oh, yeah, that is right. Yeah. So to recap this series, 23-10-4, game 1. 8-4-0, game 2. 22-10-1, game 3. 8-4-1 with 5 fouls and 4 turnovers, game 4. It's really, really hard for the Pacers to get on a really dominating role when Turner is just shit every 2 games. Right? Today, obviously in foul trouble, but at the same time, 2 of 6 shooting, 5 of which came from downtown. He was taking 6 shots, 5 of which were from 3. In a game when Nemhard, TJ and co are absolutely dominating the paint. The Celtics are out there with above average Al Horford. No extreme zinger meal at all because he's out for this one too, obviously.
Extreme zinger meal.
And I'm like, 27 minutes. I feel like I need more than 6 shots from Miles Turner. You know, he had 17, 5, and 4 blocks in the closing game against the Knickerbockers. Against the Bucks, he ripped off 3 straight games where he had 22, 7 and 6, 29, 9 and 1, 29, 9 and 4. The consistency is what kills you. Miles Turner is not consistent, and you have these moments where he is the straw that stirs the drink, and that might be the biggest failing for the Pacers. They look amazing when he's playing well, and they look like dog shit when he's not playing well. It's really, really hard if you can't have that consistency after so many years in the NBA. What about old mate, no mates, Jim?
Old mate, no mates.
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 Who's got no mates today? Chris Paul. That guy sucks. It's always fun to sort of like have that vibe of like, hey, Chris Paul's on TV. Why? And then you sort of jump into the morass of the internet and go, aha, other people agree with me. He is fucked. There was a great moment as I was like tweeting this shit out. Is like, hey, Chris, what's going on? Well, he's being aggressive. He's making shots. He's being aggressive. And you're like, oh, so he's being aggressive then. Andrew Nembhard. That's just great point guard insight from Chris Paul. So you're the greatest point guard of your generation. Andy Nembhard, he's not being Nem soft. He's being Nem fucking hard. And your incredible point guard insight is he's being aggressive. He's looking for shots. He's playing aggressive. And you're like, this isn't a fucking post-game interview, Chris Paul, and you're a football player. You are the greatest point guard of your generation who is literally sitting center fucking piece in ESPN's goddamn like halftime, pre-game, all this sort of shit. And your insight amounts to, oh, he's being aggressive. Yeah, it's pretty good. Tell us how. Tell us what he's doing. It's your fucking job, Chris Paul, to explain exactly what Nembhard is doing that he wasn't doing maybe in games 1 and 2, maybe in Halliburton's absence. He's being aggressive. Yeah, no fucking shit. It's 16 points in the fucking first half. He's being aggressive. Oh, really? Great job, you idiot. Anyway, also, old mate, no mates. Fire up, Jim. I will. Oh, jeez. Oh, this is horrible.
This is horrible. There's no other way to put it.
Yeah, but also Al Horford, talk about old mate, no mates. He's like out there, they're doing the Eastern Conference Finals presentation, the trophy and all that sort of shit. And it's like, hey, let's bring Al Horford up here. He's never won a title. And he's like, hey guys, thanks. And they're like, hey Al, remember how you've played the most, like the third most games ever without winning a title? He's like, yeah, it'd be good if I did win one. Yeah, wouldn't it? He's like, what the fuck, man? Like, just get off my back. I know that I've played the third most games in NBA history without winning a title. I'm behind John Stockton and Karl fucking Malone. I get it. Piss off. They're doing that during the goddamn presentation. So, talk about old mate, no mates. Hey, let's find Al Horford and throw him under the bus for never winning a title. Pantsing of the night sort of comes down to what was going on during that as well. I was going to have Nembhard being blocked by Jaylen Brown. Just immense. Just absolute pantsing vibes, right? Because he just nails it at the right perfect time. But also the let's go Celtics chants in Indy during the game and then at the presentation. That is just a pantsing for your entire team, isn't it? It's like, oh, man. Anytime you can celebrate on an opposition floor, it's way fucking more fun. Who is better than Lonzo Ball?
Lonzo was the best player in high school. He was the best player in college. You think he'll get to the pros and be like, I made it to the pros, now I can be average. He's coming for everybody.
Coming for everybody. Andy Nembhard, I've already said it. Andy Nembhard was not Nem soft. 24.6 rebounds, 10 assists. He scored 56 points over the last 2 games. That's his most in a 2-game span ever. No shit, Sherlock. Shot the piss out of as well. 10 of 18 from the floor, 3 of 6 from downtown, 1-on-1 of the line. 24 points, 6 rebounds, 10 assists, a steal and a block. Absolutely incredible. And like, it's sort of the thing where you go, the dude's got 3 turnovers. He's played his ass off. Miles Turner's got 4 turnovers and was like absolutely dog shit. So Nembhard, unbelievable game. He's a weapon. I love him. What a way to fill in for the all-star, superstar Tyrese Halliburton. He's like, I'm basically just as good. Check this out. Pretty bloody nice. All right, and finally, it's time for everyone's favorite one because we're back in the studio. This is a bit of a sad one, though. It's time for the magic tweet of the day. Just a bit of a sad one, isn't it? Magic. Tweet it out. Rest in peace to a friend, 2-time NBA champion, Hall of Famer, and one of the most skilled centers we've ever seen, Bill Walton. All exclamation points, by the way, from Magic. His NCAA championship performance as a UCLA Bruin against Memphis is by far the most dominant, I would assume that you're trying to say, NCAA championship performance ever. He shot 21 for 22 and had us all mesmerized. That's when I first fell in love with his basketball game. They talk about Jokic being the most skilled center, but Bill Walton was first. From shooting jump shots to making incredible passes, he was one of the smartest basketball players to ever live. Bill was a great ambassador for college basketball and the NBA, and he will be sorely missed. Cookie and I send our condolences and prayers to his wife, Laurie, kids, Luke, Nathan, Chris, and Adam, and all of his loved ones. Prayer hands emoji. What do we say? Thanks, Magic. It's really, really nicely said piece by Magic about something that's obviously really fucking tough to say. So, good on him. All right, let's go do some yeah-nows right after this.
This is Cam Glidden.
This is Anthony Drimmick.
This is Mitch McCarron.
This is Jason Kadee.
This is Darryl McDonald.
Hey guys, this is Hugh Greenwood.
Yo, what's going on? This is Illy.
This is Mark Worthington, or commonly known as Wortho, and you're listening to NBA Straya.
You're listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA
and you're
Straya.
listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
You're listening to NBA Straya.
All right, let's do it. Let's do some yeah nahs. Brought to you by the NBA Straya shop. Get your merch. Get your merch.
People. Get your merch. Get your merch. Wear it. Get your merch. Get your merch. Get your merch. Get your merch.
Yeah, do it. Go to nbastraya.com/shop or just click through on the socials. All the pretty pictures are right there. You'll love to see it. It's very, very fun. Absolutely love the vibes of this. Got a couple of good yeah nahs. We've got Dan Drosher, Dan D. We'll talk about some of this Minnesota Dallas series. Best shooting big ever as long as there's no pressure, says Dan D. Yeah, nah, yeah. Karl Anthony Towns is like, hey, is this a big spot? Cool. Let me just shit my pants first and then I'll miss this shot. He is absolutely horrible. He came out and said, oh, yeah, look, I think I shot pretty well. I just had some bad bounces. Nah, there's a clip of him and actually the shots that he's talking about of his 0 of 8 from downtown. He had 2 fucking air balls and I think another 3 to 4 that literally came off the rim and had no chance of ever going in. So, yeah, don't know if it was too many bad bounces there, cat, you idiot. Anthony Edwards also came out and said, I don't feel like they beat us, bro. We haven't been clicking at one time. Well, I'm pretty sure that's how they're beating you, Anthony Edwards, by making sure that you're not clicking all at one time, you idiot. So, I think you're fucked in the head, mate. He was also asked about what stood out to him after Game 3. He's like, yeah, they had 31 free throws and we had 17. I don't know, if you and your mate Karl Anthony Towns might fucking attack the rim a little bit more, maybe that'd be more than 17, Ant-Man. Is it weird that they're sooking so much? Yeah. Fucking concentrate on your shit. This is like just screaming of like a young team going, it's all unfair. It's like the 5-year-old just going, what do you mean I can't watch telly? I got to go to school. I'm like, well, that's what we do every day, buddy. What are you doing? Anyway, Dan D also had, Luka could be one of the most universally liked players if he just stopped flapping his arms around every 30 seconds. If he keeps it up, he will be the most universally hated. Nah, because if they win the title, he will still have like a universally loved aspect, right? If they lose and he fucking sooks as much as Minnesota are, like if they somehow blow this Minnesota series and he's bitching and moaning the entire time, you're going to see that flip very quickly to going, stop your fucking sooking and play basketball, you idiot. If they make the finals and he sooks heaps and heaps and heaps and Boston beat him, he will have a point where people will just go, this is a bit fucking much. And it will probably happen by about Game 2 of the finals, right? And so I feel like Dan might be on something. But if they win if they win this series and then win through to the final, like win the finals, I think people would just be like, he's fucking the best. He has so much fun. It is great fun. So yeah, bit of a tricky one, but it's a good point by Dan. I think it could go either of the two ways, right? Jesse Boo! Haha, bro, the Pacers legit had 3 good games but got swept. Poor dudes, I feel for them. Yeah. It sucked. Like, they played so hard. They were so good for most of that series and they got swept. It's such a kick in the dick. He also went on to say Nembhard will get himself a big next contract. Yeah. Because these are the performances that stand out across the league, right? People remember this sort of shit. It's like, remember when Andy Nembhard just shredded the fucking Celtics who went on to win the title if they did? You know, bit of a weird one. Hey, Mike Brown in Sacramento, would you also pause the extension? Yeah, nah. I think after the last couple of postseasons, you're probably going to go, hey, Mike, I understand that you want to raise and like another sort of 2-3 years on the end of your contract. But at the same time, you lost in the first round and then lost in the play-in. What are you doing? And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm trying to build a foundation. You're like, yeah. At the same time, I don't think for teams like Sacramento that switching out coaches every 4 fucking years is like good practice. Like, let Mike Brown try to set like a fucking culture and a level of expectation. It's like, yeah, we lost in the play-in, but we made the playoffs the year before. We are now actually a half-decent team. If we can just add to this, I don't know. I'd probably give him an extension for another 1 or 2 years after the end of this 4. So give him 1 more year, 1 or 2 on the end of it. Your payout's not going to be too crazy if you do fire him, but either way. The big one. Did the Celtics just have the easiest run to the finals ever? Yeah, nah. Well, they beat the Heat without Jimmy Butler. They beat the Cavs without Donnie Mitchell for a couple of games and no go the throw Jared Allen. They just beat the Pacers without Tyrese Halliburton. It's going to be very, very, very close. The only other team that sort of comes pretty close as well are the 87 Lakers, right? So they beat a 37-45 Nuggets team, a 42-40 Warriors team, and then my beloved Sonics, 39-43, the X-Man. That is one team over 500 that the Lakers beat on the way to the finals. The West in the 80s was always this weird sort of shit show of like teams that were on the up and up but could never quite sustain it. Like you had those weird Mavs teams. Obviously, as I mentioned, the Sonics. You had just extremely strange shit sort of always going on. And it's like, geez, the Lakers made 1 million finals and won 5 titles in the 80s. It's like, yeah, there's a bit of a reason. Whereas at least this Celtics team has just played like half decent teams, but I kind of feel like the fact that they've gone through and beaten, like they've gone and won the 1-8 series, the 1-4 series, and then a 1-6 series. Like you should win all those pretty easily, right? And then you look at like the way that the Cavs and the way that the Heat sort of had their seasons go, like the Heat were still 46-36. You know? The Cavs were 48-34. The Pacers were 47-35. They were missing their best players though. So on balance, you're kind of like, this is probably one of the top 3 easiest runs to a finals they've ever copped. You can only beat the team in front of you. Like you can't control injuries on the other team, right? So you can only beat who's in front of you. Good job by the Celtics. That's got to be one of the easiest runs ever, though. I'm just saying. Just saying. Unpopular opinion of the day.
Now look at me, please. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me.
Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Is it fucking weird that Larry Bird can't even rock up to a game in Indy to support the Celtics? They're going to win the Larry Bird MVP. The Eastern. I find the fucking conference final MVP shit is weird as shit as well, right? Oh, he won the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Did they win the finals? No. Then who fucking cares? Right? Like, you don't put that on their fucking resume for all time. Oh, Bill Walton, he was a Western Conference Finals MVP as well. You know, it's just fucking strange. Anyway, but Larry Bird, the team that he fucking played for a million years, and then the team that he fucking coached was like the fucking executive of the year for a million years as well. They're playing each other. We can't get one Larry Bird presentation. We're going to roll out Cedric Maxwell going, yeah, let's go fucking Celtics. Adam Silver, what are you doing? Sort this the fuck out. Get Larry B out there. Unless they're saving him for the finals. Interesting. Anyway, let's do a bit of an Outback Takehouse. It's Tuesday at Outback. You know what that means? Oh, yeah. Well, look, this morning we sort of walked in the backyard. One of the cats in the neighborhood had taken out a possum. So it shredded remains right there on the thing. To stop the dog or the squids fucking around with it, we chucked it on the spit. Boom. Bit of brekkie possum. And it's only at Outback. It's basically, if you slather that with a bit of hollandaise sauce, bit of bacon, off you go. Yeah, she's a bit gamey, and you're not entirely sure what you're going to get from the cat remains, but geez, after the cat's done with it, still fires up as a great bloody Flame Grill take. And today's Flame Grill take is the Celtics should have swept their way to the finals. The fact that they lost any games to these half-assed teams that they basically beat on the way to the finals here is an absolute embarrassment. And it obviously means that they will lose to whoever comes out of the West. Only at Outback. The actual Flame Grill take is that the Pacers should be up 3-1 in this series. If they had held their fucking nerve. But the Celtics have just gone, 12-2 in these playoffs. It's awesome. I think I did say before the actual playoffs began that it should be 12-0 by the time they got to the finals. They came pretty bloody close, so we'll pay that. All right, should we just go straight into an Andrew Gay's Grey Mamba Award?
Andrew Gay's Grey Mamba.
Outstanding achievement here.
Oh, yeah, let's do it. This one goes to Derek White. I want to give him a little bit of shine because his defensive efforts today and across this series, it was weird because the Pacers just got so up in their shit with TJ McConnell, with Nemhard, with Naismith and co. And Derek White and Drew Holiday, just the amount of fucking awesome guard defense that you saw from them across this series is fantastic. And today, Derek White had, 5+ steals, 3+ blocks. He's the first player to do that since Scottie Pippen in a conference finals game. An Eastern Conference Finals game, at least. That is awesome. What an absolute legend. If you can be named in a Derek White, Scottie Pippen conversation, that's awesome. You'd love to see it. All right, great job. He also hit the game-winning 3, which is pretty bloody good. Hey, Jim, what was the last score of that game? It was Derek White's 3. 105-102. It was tied 102-102. And Derek White, being 1 of 8, just goes, fuck it, I'll crush this. Great pass from Jaylen Brown. Boom, Derek White 3. Pack her up, boys. You were done. It's still remarkable to me that, this is the cool thing about playoff games, though, right? So, 3.5 minutes that the Pacers don't score at the end of that game. So much of it is Giroux and Derek White just putting pressure on the likes of Naismith and Nemhard and co. And yeah, they pulled the bloody thing off. Great job. All right, what about a Penny Mills Game Day, Ball Game Day Twitter check-in? Let's do it. Jim, is this where you look at your phone and get uncomfortable? Yes. All right. Paddy. Chase is on. Day 9. Lower body lift. Leg extension. Hold. Oh. 1080 resisted sprints. Oh, so that's sprinting while you got the resistance bands on. Cable calf raise off step. Oh, that's a good one. That might ruin my left heel spurs that I'm still bone spurs that I'm dealing with. But we're keeping up with Paddy, aren't we? I'm not. I'm cooked. I've had more beers than weights lifted it by far. Last couple of days, I'll tell you. Anyway, let's do a bit of a game preview for Game 4, Minnesota-Dallas. Game preview. Thanks, Inadvertent Bane. Not a problem, Jim. How's it all going? Oh, yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. Got to run off and pick up the squids from school and stuff. But at the same time, tomorrow, the Minnesota Timberwolves, Game 4. An insanely fun setup because we talked about yesterday. Kyrie Irving, 14-0 in closeout games. They're up 3-0 are the Dallas Mavericks. They are at home. We just saw Boston do this on the road to pull off the sweep. Minnesota are 2.5-point underdogs. I don't think Dallas are going to finish this series easily. I'm going to take Minnesota plus 2.5 because if Dallas do win it, I think it will be close. I don't feel like Minnesota are the sort of team because that defense is so good. I just don't see them having the game where they get run out of Dallas in a closeout game. Even look, despite the weirded lopsided nature of a bunch of those Denver, Minnesota games, right? Where sort of they lose one game by 27 and then turn around and win another one by 26. All the Dallas Minnesota games have been 3 points, 1 point, and then the eventual loss yesterday was 116-107. So I think Minnesota puts up a fight. I like getting the points in this one because I feel like Minnesota have got at least a pretty good chance of still fighting their way back into the series. Just because Dallas, their defense has been fantastic. The offense has that sort of just top level ability to get to between Luka and Kyrie and then surrounding them with PJ, Hamilton, Washington, and Derek Jones Jr., our man Josh Green. If he can hit another 3, that'd be good. Throw Dante out there. Just get Dante involved. Come on. But Minnesota, I feel like there's an Ant-Man game just sort of waiting in the wings at some point. He's just going to go, fuck it, and go off. The big question for Dallas will be like, if they have like a slightly inefficient Luka game, if Kyrie just has one where he just takes a little bit of a back seat and doesn't quite get going as he has done in like the prior series. But this series he's been fantastic, where he's like, especially the last two games where Kyrie's like, fuck it, I'm going to get going early, push us along, keep us all like right up there in Minnesota's guts. And then if they just have that slight backstep, Minnesota can probably just keep them arm's length and maybe pull it off. The biggest problem is Dallas just get to like the 3-minute mark of the fourth quarter and like, if we're within 7, we're probably going to win. And you're like, that's just insane. My old, is it the old adage of double the amount of minutes left plus 3 is what you can always come back from. That's changed a little bit in the last probably 5-6 years, but it still rings true. Either way, I'm going to take Minnesota plus 2.5. I think they're going to win a Western Conference Finals game. They're going to win 1. Maybe 2. I just really find it hard that this Dallas team has been so good and these games have been so fucking close. They've pulled them out of their ass. It's got to be one where they sort of maybe just screw it up. But look, to be honest, in my heart, I want to see Dallas win because I want the Aussies in the fucking finals. Simple as that, right? Give me Greeny and Exum in the finals. Happy days there. I want Dallas to win. Minnesota plus 2.5 is probably the pick, though, just because I feel like that defense is just a little bit too good. Even if it... I mean, the way that they just demolish-rated Denver in some of those games is just sort of stuck in my brain, right? And you're like, Dallas is a completely different beast. They're so much more perimeter-oriented rather than Denver, which is how, has the Jokic fulcrum. And without Lively there, like Gafford, he had an incredible game 3. But the passing of Lively is incredible. His his vocalness on defense is massive. I feel like Dallas might just have a bit of a slip up here, missing Lively, missing his impact, trying to figure out if they're going to throw Powell in there and stuff. So give me Minnesota in game 4. I don't like it. I want Dallas to win. Just want that on record. If Dallas win, that's good. But I'm going to take Minnesota plus 2.5. All right, and that'll do for today. We'll be back on deck tomorrow to wrap up that no doubt insane game 4. Because Minnesota and Dallas have played 3 fucking awesome games so far. I can't wait for this one. So in the meantime, make sure you're following NBA Straya on Twitter, Facebook, IG. We're all over the socials. You know that. Get around the AFL Today show as well. The Sunday night show is an absolute cracker. Tomorrow's show will be very good as well. Lots to talk about on the Wednesday Midweek Madness show. Smash that across all the socials, as well as the Cricket Today podcast, the Football Today podcast, Hold All Tickets, NFL Straya, all the good stuff there. Check a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, whatever app you're using, your weird Android phones, do that. It helps out heaps. Rate, review, star, subscribe. Just subscribe, would ya? It shouldn't take too much for you to just go, oh, Jim, I'd also grab my mum's phone and she's now subscribed. I grabbed my mate's phone and he's now subscribed. So make sure you're on the YouTube and you've subscribed to that because you can see this smiling mug yelling at you. Subscribe on the old podcast apps, whatever. Go nuts, please. Go on. I don't ask for much. NBAstraya.com/shop. Get your merch. And also from Oslo, they're behind the intro and outro song. They rule. So do House Hats, Joshua Delarentis, Fascinated Gold Mines, Ramshackle Army, Iowa, Section Green, and Dozers. They're behind all the tunes you hear throughout the show. Smash them all on Bandcamp, Triple J and Earth, Face the Apple Music, Spotify. Remember, NBA Straya supports Australian bands. And we're going to close out with a brand new Delhi review. And we will catch you tomorrow, you dickheads. Good job by the Celtics. You've made another finals. This is NBA Straya saying, look after yourselves, would ya? And Little Zenna! Oi, 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 how the fuck age? It's your old mate Delhi over here, just swinging by from the latest pop culture review and shit, eh? I've got to tell you, I've had a weird little bit of a time. Like, I just kept getting hassled by my mate Paddy. He's like, fucking, Delhi, you ready for Paris, mate? I'm like, fucking, I'm trying, bro. I'm fucking trying. I'm like messaging Gorge every 5 minutes going, Gorge, am I on the team? Gorge, am I on the team? Gorge, am I on the team? And he's like, Delhi, fucking settle down, mate. I'm like, nah, Gorge, just quickly check, am I on the team? And he's like, fucking just piss off, mate. I'm like, I will fight every gun under the fucking earth if I'm not on this team. Anyway, Paddy and I, like, we're doing workouts and shit from different sides of the world and everything. It's pretty good. And yeah, but it's all right. You know, I'm just working hard. Also working on some crypto, but whatever. And yeah, Mrs. She started watching the telly show, and I'm like, right, like in between workouts, whatever. You know, I'm sitting there on the couch late at night. I'm like, oh yeah, bloody hell, what are you watching? She's like, oh, it's a new telly show. I'm like, oh yeah, sick. What's it called? And she's like, oh, there's one on the Amazons called Upload. And you're like, oh yeah, what's it about? And it's like, oh, it's uploading your brain into like heaven. And I'm like, oh, here we fucking go. And then I watched it. I'm like, this is basically like The Good Place. That one with like, what's his name? From Becca. I love that one. And then also he was on Cheers. Yeah, that bloke. So The Good Place was really good because it also had like that chick in it. And then this one's pretty bloody good, even though the people aren't famous. Like, it's just actually probably better because of that. And I really like the concept. And you're like, Jesus, yeah, technology is kind of like all over our lives and stuff, isn't it? So it really makes you think while you watch. Oh, I fucking hate it. So only 14 out of 10 deli ones for me. Go check it out on the Amazons and shit. And until next time, later fuckers, deli out.